Good morning. My name is Reverend Kylie Renner, and on behalf of the entire One Spiritual Center community, I want to welcome you here today. Thank you for joining me on this beautiful, beautiful morning in Albuquerque. It's so nice to see some faces I haven't seen in a while. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So before we get started, I need to give you the announcement of where the bathroom is this morning, because we have a different location this week. Our bathrooms move in this house. It's magic. No. So the bathroom that's ready for you guys is through the gate and then through the second gate. And there's a door open, and go on in there if you need it this morning. And also, just to let you know, we may have a guest returning who will come and park in the driveway. And if we cannot stare at them, that would be awesome, because, you know, they're not doing something they shouldn't be doing. They've been gone all day, though, so we probably won't see them, but I'm always like, let's just stare at the people joining us. That'll make them feel really uncomfortable. That would be awesome. So yes, we have Airbnbs on our property, so that would explain what I'm talking about if you don't know. And I'm just so grateful to be here this morning. I'm going to be really grateful to take a moment to settle it in, because we had some drama this morning. But you know what I love about the way this group works together is that we figure it out. So we have some new equipment this morning, which of course meant some of the old equipment that's been reliable for the last 15 years decided to stop working. And in the middle of that, Zephyr gets all his tools out and pops everything open and figures out what's going on. And we call Milo and say, turn around, go home, get us something. And we knew something would work. So here we are. We're working, but maybe a little scrambled. Maybe anyone else feeling just scrambled by the world right now? Maybe just a little bit. So I'm so grateful to be here together this morning and to have this opportunity to breathe together and to remember. And so let's just take a minute and center. So if you're comfortable closing your eyes, we're going to bring ourselves present to this beautiful day. To what it feels like to be alive. Maybe becoming aware of our breath for the first time today. This beautiful give and take. And I just recognize the power and the presence of the One fully present here as each and every one of us, available to us. As we allow for whatever it is that we need to see and hear and feel to just happen organically today. I just know that the love that brought us to this space of remembrance this morning is here and available to us as we more deeply and powerfully connect to it. And I just know that love is never ending, and so I just allow for a deeper breath and a deeper love and a deeper peace just to move through this day. And I let it be. And so it is. prepare the way for our meditation this I've chosen a poem by Sarah Klassen, and it's entitled Waging Peace. And it starts with a verse from Isaiah. How beautiful on the mountains are the feet of the messenger who announces peace. Not something separate, not a convenient screen, a wall hastily fabricated to keep a complex blaze contained, or the self safe, nor something hammered out at tables and never sentimental, say a moonlit evening, an incandescent sky, the Pacific Ocean on a breathless day. You might as well wage peace as war. You have to stand exposed at the crossroads of unguarded anger, a presence, not an absence, not gritting your teeth, forcing your clenched hands open, your heart's hard core, and everything the stubborn mind conceals revealed. Disarmed, you may be disarming. The terror in your unmasked face radiant, your unshod, wounded feet beautiful beyond words. And so we just take that sentiment of waging peace as war, and we allow the meditation to move us today. was lovely. Thank you so very much. Oh, and I honestly could feel like I could use some loveliness. Anyone else feeling a little bit dragged down right now? Okay, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Because here we are, right? Here we are in the middle of protracted crisis. And we've got to figure out a way to carry on. And so that's what today's about. Not saying I have it figured out, but I want to share with you some of my thoughts around where we are and where we're going and what kind of energy we need to make sure that we're bringing. Because I don't know, I'm feeling like we're just gearing up. And as much as we would wish to think that we were near the end of something, I don't believe that is the case. I don't think the science or any of that is saying that right now. So here we are, and we need to figure out how we want to bring our best selves, how we want to bring our creative, powerful, loving selves to the world right now that so very much needs us to do so. So I've been thinking about this a lot, and I kept finding myself getting really angry. I got really, really angry when I started to read about the woman who's been nominated to fill the Supreme Court seat, and just so angry. And so I kept having to go to prayer. I have to keep going inside and looking for some peace. And I kept hearing this voice in my head that kept saying, Kylie, your love needs to be bigger than your anger. And I kept hearing it, and I kept hearing it. And so I've been sitting with that idea that my love needs to be bigger than my anger. And how do I cultivate that? Because my anger feels pretty big sometimes. And how do I make sure that I'm making room for that? And so I was sent several things this week that helped a little bit. And one was this quote that said, the amount of energy necessary to refute bullshit is an order of magnitude bigger than to produce it. I'm going to say that again. The amount of energy necessary to refute bullshit is an order of magnitude bigger than to produce it. So that was helpful for me from the perspective of that it's really easy to spew all kinds of bullshit, right? It's really, really easy to do that. But the energy that is required to refute that, the energy that is required to create something different is bigger. And so it makes sense that all of us who are willing to create a space for that bigger thing are feeling exhausted. And it was really helpful for me to be like, that makes so much sense. And it makes so much sense why sometimes, like last week, I encouraged us all to be really loud with our dissent and really loud with our love. And I don't even think we realize how incredibly loud we have to be, because we have to refute that order of magnitude. Like, we have to be so much louder because it is so much easier just to create bullshit. And so there's this sense in which, how can I create that energy, right? Like, how can I make sure that I'm infused with that energy? And that's one of the reasons I so love this philosophy, is that we recognize that we have an endless pool of it inside of us, that it is always there. And in fact, it's not even us anymore. At some point, we're tapping into something bigger that's flowing through us. But it's hard sometimes to get to a place where we're cultivating that or remembering that, especially when we're in protracted crisis, when we are in the 6-month phase of this thing that we're going through. And I feel like I've hit the wall several times in all of this, but I'm feeling one right now. And I was feeling it and feeling it from the perspective of, now's not the time. Like, now's really, like, with all of the things that are coming up in the next few months, like, now's not the time to get tired. Now is not the time to want to retreat. And I came across this piece that a doctor, Dr. Isa Ahmad, posted on Twitter actually this week. And it was really helpful for me to understand kind of this wall that we're collectively hitting. And this doctor has worked in disaster areas for protracted periods of time. And so this is what they said about this. The 6-month mark of any sustained crisis is always difficult. We have all adjusted to this new normal, but might now feel like we're running out of steam. Yet at best, we're only a third of the way through this marathon, so how do we keep on going? First, in my experience, this is very normal. It is a very normal time to struggle or slump. I always hit a wall 6 months into a tough assignment in a disaster zone. The desire to get away or make it stop is intense. And I've done this many times. And at 6 months, it's like clockwork. This time, our crisis is global and there is nowhere to run. And that's okay. I've had to power through that 6-month hump before, and there is life on the other side. Right now, it feels like we're looking ahead at a long, dark, wintry tunnel, but it's not going to be like that. Rather, this is our next major adaptation phase. We already relearned how to do groceries, host meetings, and even teach classes or do church. And we have found new ways to be happy and have fun. But this, again, as the days get shorter and colder, we need to be ready to innovate again. And this is my first pandemic, but not my first 6-month wall. So what can I share to help you? First, the wall is real and normal. And frankly, it's not productive to try to ram your head through it. Anyone trying that? Yeah. It will break naturally in about 4 to 6 weeks if you ride it out. And of course, there are things we have to do. Work, teach, cook, exercise, but just don't expect to be sparklingly happy or wildly creative in the middle of your wall. Right now, if you can meet your obligations and be kind to your loved ones, you get an A+. And so this was, again, something so incredibly helpful as I myself have been experiencing this, and also just walking through life with people who are obviously in this same space and trying to figure out how do we care for one another from the perspective of recognizing that we're in these major adaptation phases together. And it's difficult, and it's really difficult for some people in ways that we don't understand. And so that's one of the things I keep thinking about when I'm seeing the things that I've adapted to that have been easy for me. And then I look around and say, well, this is easy for me, but if I had mobility issues, these changes that I've had to make to standing in lines and parking in different places and all of those things, this would be different. And so how do we make sure that we're holding a space of compassion that recognizes that some of the adaptation that we're doing that feels inconvenient for others is making things impossible? And how do we make sure that we are creating this space of love that is big enough that we can hold and loud enough that we can keep on carrying forward in this way that makes our love be stronger than our anger and makes our willingness to stand with one another become something so much more powerful? So I was trying to think, that was a mouse. Hi, mouse. There's a mouse at my house. At least it's outside this year so far. So I was trying to think of some analogy to talk about what it feels like it's happening and the energy that is required and what's moving. And I had to check with Zephyr that my science was correct, because I was like, I think I remember this from high school science. And so what I think I remember, and I checked it with him this morning, I am correct, is that when water is freezing, there's this period of time where it stays in liquid form. And it requires a whole lot more energy than it took to get to that temperature to get it to freeze. So there's all of this extra energy that requires required for something to change phases, is basically the concept in science. And to change from being liquid to solid, and it feels like we're in one of those stages where we're obviously adapting and things are moving and changing, and that there's so much more energy required from us who are willing to hold that space to push us to that next phase. And so sometimes what's required, as we were talking about this morning, is, or what can help when it's right on the edge, is to shake things up a little bit. And so our willingness to let ourselves be shaken up, to let ourselves readapt, to let ourselves look at the ways in which we are being called to change phases, is this willingness, I think, to make sure that we're being willing to participate in the process of transformation in the deepest way possible, that we're willing to exert the energy. And if we don't feel like we have the energy to tap into another source of energy inside of us that maybe we haven't used before. And that's one of the things I keep going back to, is that there's always more love. When we hit that place where we think that we've reached the amount of love that is possible, there is always more. And there is always more energy where that came from. And there is always, even if we're in the middle of a protracted crisis and can't quite see it or feel it, it's always there. And so if we remember that, even if we can't access it the way we'd like to, that it's there, then we can allow ourselves to lean back into that in those times when we feel like we can't find it. And to remember that in fact, that we are safe and loved in this in a way that is so much bigger than we have allowed ourselves to experience before. So I keep coming back to this story in my head about some pioneers that were crossing the central United States many years ago. And they were homesteaders, and they were traveling in wagons and drawn by oxen, and they were making slow but progress. And one day they were horrified to find that there was a long line of smoke along the west that was rapidly arriving to where they were traveling, and all of the grass that was so dry was being lit up. And they had just crossed a river the day before, and they knew that they could not turn back, that there was no way for them to get safe through that way. And so they knew that soon the flames were going to be upon them. And one of the men seemed to understand exactly what needed to be done, and he gave the command to set fire to the grass behind them. And when the space was burned over, the whole company moved back into where they had burned, and the flames roared towards them. And a little girl in the family was screaming, "We're all gonna get burned up." And the leader replied that the flames cannot reach us here because we're standing where the fire has already been. And I keep thinking about that from the perspective of how do we cultivate an environment inside of us where we know that the fire's already been there, right? Like that we know that we have faced that which we fear, and that we can then from that place bring that deeper love. And I know that's where I always access my deeper love, is when I have gotten through what I was scared of on the surface of that, when I have gotten through the thing that I thought I couldn't get through. That's where I find deeper love. And so here we are. I mean, honestly, all of us in our own ways being challenged in deep and powerful ways to transform. All of us collectively. It's kind of glorious. It's incredibly scary. It feels out of control, but it is also really creative. And so here we are finding ourselves being asked to make sure that our love is bigger than all of the other things that we're feeling, which requires us to look more deeply at what needs to be burned away, what is no longer serving us, what is no longer moving us in the direction we know that we need to move. And so I just recognize that we have this capacity to really do this transformation that is being called upon us in a conscious way, and to remember that if we are feeling anger and fear and all of those things, that is completely normal and beautiful and natural, and our only job is to make sure our love is bigger, to make sure our love is louder, and make sure our love is operating in us, that we are willing to bring ourselves to that. We have new equipment. It's doing fun things. And my love is bigger than technology today. So here we are. Maybe you're not experiencing this 6-month wall right now. Maybe you've already been there, or maybe you're just on the verge, but I guarantee you there are people around you experiencing this. And what is it that we want to be learning from this? And how do we want to take these next 4 to 6 weeks as we enter into an election that is bound to be very interesting in its effects in every direction? Like, how do we make sure that we are bringing all of ourselves? And the only way I can, I keep going back to is more love. All I can do is bring more love, and to remember that is an essential component to all of this. So I was reading this week, and I'm not certain this is still true, but there's stories about what would happen in the Philippines when a fire would erupt. And the stories go that not only would a fire truck appear and be called to manage the fire, but also that a shaman would be called and to deal with the spiritual effects of the fire. And as I was reading that, I realized that I think that on a lot of levels we have been called into a crisis, and we've brought a lot of our firefighter skills, right? Our managed crisis skills. We've brought our tools to adapt on that level, and we're being asked to now bring some different tools. We're being asked to bring our shaman to the fire, right? Like that actually gave me goosebumps. Yay. But we're actually being asked to bring that part of ourselves to this adaptation that is happening. Like, that's the next level of this for me. It's like, how do I bring that so that I can see what's going on beneath the surface and deal with those effects, and deal with the trauma and the pain and the fear on a different level. And so I think that we're ready as conscious beings to allow this deeper love that we are to remind us that that's where we're going next. That we're here to bring that part of ourselves to what's going on, and really by doing so, bring a new level of healing and a new level of transformation to this whole thing that we're experiencing together. And so if you are just, doing what you need to do, you get an A+. I promise you. If you're making anything work, I keep saying that. If you are making any little thing work, if you're bringing kindness anywhere, you are truly a miracle worker right now, and good job. And we have to keep on cultivating a love that is big enough to handle all of this. And I know that the one is big enough, right? The one that sent us here, that love is big enough, and we just get to keep on accessing it in deeper ways. And we get to wage peace as war. We get to make it that loud. And so I'm going to ask the band to come back up as we anchor in prayer. And there goes somebody doing something. I have no idea. Hello. I don't know what's going on, but I don't need to. So we're going to sing into our prayer. And as we prepare the way for that, I just invite you to just imagine it, a love that is bigger than anything that you've ever experienced before. A love that is bigger than whatever the biggest problem feels like in your life right now. And we're going to see if handing this over to the source of all of that love helps us to access more of the peace and the love that we are. So please join me as we sing into our prayer.
Our prayer of love lifts us high. It heals us, sustains us, and sets us. Our prayer of love lifts us high. It heals us, sustains us, and sets us. Our prayer of love lifts us high.
A prayer of remembering the bigger love that sent us here. That love that is bigger than any problem, any situation, any seeming obstacle. The love that is bigger than a pandemic or an election. Love that is bigger than the economy. A love that is bigger than the Supreme Court. A love that is so deep and immense that it can't help but transform everything that it touches. And I just recognize the love that is who we are, is that infinite love. And I let it be louder. I let it be clearer. I let it open in me more powerfully so that I may be a messenger of what I know we all know is possible, which is that we truly create from this place of knowing how connected we are. And how vital it is that we remember that we are one. And so I just know that this bigger love continues to guide us no matter what it is that we are feeling, and that it always gets to show up when we invoke it. And so the answer is always more love, no matter what the question is. And I just let that wash over all of that which feels bigger than my love right now, infusing it with a new perspective. And I'm just grateful for transformation. I'm grateful for knowing that inside of all of us is absolutely everything we need, and that all of this that we are adapting to is calling for more wholeness and a deeper remembrance that we've already burned through the fear and get to stand in the face of that which we used to fear and declare our power and our love. And I just know that truly we are loved and guided in this, and I just allow it to move. I allow that love to be louder. it's already here. And I let it be. And so it is.
Lifts us high, heals us, sustains us, and sets us free. Our prayer of love lifts us high, heals us, sustains us, and sets us free. Our prayer of love lifts us high, heals us, sustains us, and sets us free.
It's the first time we're hearing that song this morning. Usually they have time to rehearse. Not today, but that's how brilliant they are. Yes? Wonderful. So I want to thank everyone for continuing to support and love this community through all of these changes and adaptations we're making. There are baskets hanging from the trees if you choose to give a donation here in person and in that way. We also accept donations on our website, onespiritualcenter.org, and there's a place there that makes that really easy. So please check that out if you're interested in making a donation to make sure that we keep on being able to do all of this that we do. Also want to thank everyone who came out to make emergency food boxes yesterday at Roadrunner Food Bank. We had a really great time. We luckily got a great group to work with this month. Last month we did the same thing, and it was like a totally different scene. No one got yelled at. No one got mansplained. It was awesome. So thanks for everyone who came out. We were in record time made 12 pallets full of boxes that are going out to our community, sent with a little extra bit of One Spiritual Center love. So thank you for that. Want to remind you that we have bagels. Want to thank you for being here. And I want to I'm going to ask for some prayer for myself. So one of the things that I have recognized over the last few years as we created this community was that this all needed to be sustainable, and one of the things that is required in that is for it to be mutual. And so I pray for you guys a lot. I hear your prayers and I get those, but I could use some prayer this week. Tomorrow I have a minor skin cancer surgery, and I have some trauma around stitches since I had a really big accident as a child, and so I still have all of that comes up. And I've had, I don't know, we lost count at some point, but I've had probably close to 3,000 stitches in my life, which is a lot of stitches. And so I'll have some more tomorrow. But I'm just asking for swift healing and goodness there. So please pray me up. If you're thinking about me next week too, just swift healing. And it's this side of my face. So thank you for that. And I appreciate it. So prayers all around. Let me know if I can pray for you around anything. Let's keep this, that circle of love continuing. And we are going to sing.